Good day and compliments, dear esteemed viewer, and welcome to our today's edition of Citizens and the Law. It is a program aimed at demystifying issues standing as strange before the gullible heads and their persons. We have a special topic today. I have with me here in the studio to handle that topic very well. The topic for today is international humanitarian law, and it has to do a lot with the law of armed conflict. And with me here in the studio to get all the I's and T's dotted and crossed is a tested and trusted professor, Professor Peter Emeka Kachi, the gold medalist, FCAI. He is a chartered SHNT Britain and MCBP China. Professor Peter Emeka Kachi is the national president of NACAMA in Nigeria, and of course, the president emeritus of Red Cross Anambra State. And right now, he is the state vice chairman of Nigerian Red Cross Society, Anambra State. Prof, you are welcome to the studio.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Okay, like I said earlier, we are going to look at international humanitarian law. It is a very important topic. Some of you might be asking, Mascot, why didn't you come up today with a lawyer? A lawyer cannot answer the questions I am going to put across to him. It is also law that cuts across nations. Okay, Prof, as far as this topic is concerned, people would like to know what we mean by international humanitarian law. So, if I may ask you, can you explain what is international humanitarian law?
International humanitarian law is a law which emanated from Geneva Conventions, Convention 1, Convention 2, Convention 3, and Convention 4. And in that international humanitarian laws, it has to do with humanity. It has to do with the protection and rights of human beings in a war, in armed conflict, armed hostilities. The law that guides the military, the soldiers, not to be in excess, not to go beyond their limits, not to harm civilian populace, not to harm people that are not involved in the war. The women, the children, and other things, and also detention of people, how to detain people, how not to torture people, and a lot of other things, and how to protect women, including putting them in a different detention without male, and without allowing people, male soldiers or male prison officials, to rape them, abuse them sexually, and also the children, also the minors, and the rest of them. These are the areas of this international humanitarian law. It is a human angle which was first initiated by International Red Cross Committee in Geneva in 1846.
Okay, you said in Geneva 1846. I want to ask you again, how active has this law been towards achieving the objectives for which it was created? How active?
It has been very active. That is why at times you see some former head of state being arraigned in Hague to face criminal war crimes. Red Cross is the initiator, and Red Cross is the authorized institution concerning this international humanitarian law, and where it violates, they have the law, they have the order from United Nations, and they go to prosecute to make sure that the person is brought to book so as not to exterminate humanity.
Okay, if I may ask again, I may have asked you, but you've provided the answer. What is the law of armed conflict? You mentioned the law of armed conflict. It seems to relate with this international humanitarian law. What is it, and who made it, and what are the objectives?
The law of armed conflict is basically to define the operational attitude or operational procedure in a war situation, in hostilities, and to make the military, those who are participating in that particular war, to know their limits, not to go beyond their limits, because humanities are involved. We cannot go to war without a civil populace. The civilians are there, others who have no business in the war, those who did not take decision in that war are there, so that that particular war will not affect them. And that is why there are two symbols that will protect a building, protect a property in a war front. The Red Cross unflagging symbol and a white symbol. If it is in a military vehicle, there will be no firing shots. If it is Red Cross, there will be no bombing of that building. Anybody that bombs that building will be contravened and will be arraigned in Hague.
But there is a problem going around the world right now. This religious war, I may call it jihad here and there. You see that these laws are randomly abused. Women are raped, children are killed in the name of trying to do what one may call ethnic cleansing or national cleansing. Certain countries today, we are Christians, today they are Muslims. What has the international humanitarian law been able to do to checkmate these kind of atrocities across the world?
They are very active because this law is a law of United Nations. And almost all these countries you are mentioning are subscribed to United Nations Charter. And most of them are members of United Nations. So they are being controlled. If this law collapses, then the humanity has collapsed. So this law is very effective. That is why you have had some people being arraigned to Hague. You have that of Sudan, that of Northern Sudan. He's a wanted person, he's a criminal. Charles Taylor has already been arraigned because of his humanitarian violations. And those who violate that, the Rwandan president is also arraigned in Hague because of these criminal acts or violations of this law. So this law is very, very effective. At times, some of the head of states are carried away. They will continue to, but when this law is compiled and filed in Hague, they will be brought to international court, tribunal, and they will face their charges. And most of them are either condemned to death or sentenced to life imprisonment. So it is very, 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 very effective. And the law is still controlling the wars. But you must differentiate between terrorists who are not organized army, who are not trained army, or ordinary militia who are thinking that they are defending their country land. So these are a different set of people. They are not well trained. I can tell you, even the MOPO, this mobile police, there is a place called Goza. I think it's in Adamawa. Red Cross, International Red Cross used to go there to give them lectures, training on how to conduct themselves and how to obey international humanitarian laws by not violating fundamental human rights of the citizens, or flogging people, extracting confessions by torture, and a lot of things that are not in consonance with the law of protecting humanity.
I want to use Nigeria as an example. There is this prescription of IPOB, and the Fulani herdsmen, they are free as air in Nigerian society, moving about and continuing with their mayhem, destroying lives and property. What do you think the international humanitarian law stands to do, maybe now or in the nearest future?
The international humanitarian law will operate mostly where the people that are affected are talking. There are a lot of pretenses in our climb. A lot of people are pretenders. There is this silence, dangerous silence of conspiracy. The people are not ready to talk. Even the most affected persons are not ready to talk because of one thing or the other, or what they will benefit from the powers that be or who will be. Otherwise, a nation should not have two different conditions for people living in that nation. I am a good citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I'm not allowed to carry arms or AK-47. And how can an ordinary Fulani man described as an alien Fulani, a marauder, move about with AK-47 in my own country, in my own town, in my own village? The police that have been arresting people with arms, ordinary pump action, ordinary Oka-made gun, see them and they look away. Army see them and they look away. Navy see them and they look away. Even the military aircraft, the Air Force, they see them and they pretend that they are. So this conspiracy of pretenses and conspiracy of silence is what we cannot understand. If you talk about IPOB, what of our people? Don't we have people who will speak for us? I think there are people that are supposed to speak. They should speak. They should just go to Geneva. They should go to United Nations and file papers. Like I always say, that it is not our struggle that will give us what we want as independent persons. It is through referendum and through plebiscite. And these things are things that can be conducted by United Nations and not by individuals. You don't just wake up one day, put on one kind dress and one kind flag and start giving order up and down. It is not obtainable all over the world. You follow things constitutionally and follow the forms, the normal way of doing things constitutionally. You go to United Nations. When they fly your flag, they come back. They do delineations and give you a boundary. They do plebiscite and know if your people wants to be with you. If your people wants to be in Biafra, they will make you to be a Biafra. If they don't want to be, then there must be this consensus, and there must be plebiscite, and there must be referendum. And who are those people that are going to conduct the United Nations? Ordinary flag and no noise cannot conduct that. Hand fan design in a particular name cannot solve that. You don't dwell on inanities to get a sovereignty.
Not the social media war.
You don't dwell on inanities to get a sovereignty. You get a sovereignty by concrete arrangement, by following it, by your presentations. When the whole world buys your presentations, you get sovereignty. You cannot get sovereignty anyhow. You cannot be a careless people. We are first class in the whole Nigeria, so we cannot be careless. That type of attitude, European attitude, is carelessness. We have elders. What are they saying? They can go and represent us at United Nations. We are waiting for them. It is not our turn. We have those who are older than us, those who have been there before us. They should take up the mantle of leadership and stay us. Nobody can just get up, or you think you have some hooligans and you think you can become a head of state in Biafra. It is not possible. The elders must go. Perfect everything. We have people. We have one of the most constitutional lawyers in the whole world. He's with us here. He's still alive. God still blessed us with a lot of people, a lot of potentials. So when you ask this question, where are our people? If they made up their mind to get what they want to, they will get it. United Nations is fair. That is what you ask a question on jurisprudence. Yeah. They have this jurisprudence, and they are fair, and they're always fair to the people. And we are so important in the whole world. We are so influential in America, we're influential in Spain, we're influential in Britain. We know what we can do. In as much as when we come back here, we are nothing. When a phone call from India now, they ask me questions, I tell them what they do, and when they do it, they get what they want. And I enjoy doing that. I'm an Igbo man, and I'm proud to be an Igbo man.
You have your gold medals from India and Greece.
Yes.
Well,
in drug provings.
Yeah, dear esteemed viewer, you are watching Citizens and the Law on ABS Television, Channel 2 for Oka. And our guest here in the studio is Professor Emeka Kachi, a gold medalist FCAI, the National President of Nakama and Vice Chairman of Nigerian Red Cross Society, Anambra State. Jude Mascot Obiagu presenting, and the topic is International Humanitarian Law. Let's go on break. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back to Citizens and the Law, topic International Humanitarian Law. Prof, I want to ask you this question before it is too late. What is the place of the Red Cross in international armed conflicts?
In international armed conflicts, it is because the founder of Red Cross, Sergeant Henry Dunant, in 1853, witnessed a war in Solferino between the Austrians and the French and the rest of them when he was going to do a business with Napoleon Bonaparte. He saw this war. Within 1 hour, more than 40,000 soldiers were wounded. And he stopped his business trip to help the wounded and brought the local persons to come and assist him in treating the wounded. At the end of that, he went on his business, and when he returned to Geneva, he said, if this type of war can come up anywhere, what has the people got to do to help the humanity, the suffering humanity? And that was how that Geneva Convention comes up in 1863. And when it comes up at that particular time, that Geneva Convention is to protect people in times of war. Even there is a slogan in United Nations, and that is ICR's slogan, even the war has limits. Recently, you must have heard that the Syrians apply chemical weapons, and USA and France attacked them. It's just like the Desert Storm, when the president of...
Somebody is calling. Is it... Hello?
Hello?
Yeah? Prof, sorry for interruption. Callers have opened the line. You can call us on the number on the screen there. And in trying to do that, you tune down the volume of your TV set and you maintain some reasonable distance to your TV set. The numbers are 090-729-72090. The other one there is 070-627-24192. On the screen, you can see the numbers there, so you can ask, you can call and ask a question. The Prof is well disposed to attend to your questions. Prof, continue, please. Sorry for that.
Yes, when the then president of Iraq started the religious annihilation of the Oz, and you know Oz was where Abraham came from, to move to other places. And you can remember that Baghdad, the center of Iraq, is the center of Garden of Eden. And there was a prophecy of Nostradamus who said that a beast will arise from that place, and that beast will annihilate the whole world. And they were suspecting that Saddam could be the beast. So the whole European nations, including the Arab world, come together to make sure that they stop this beast that will annihilate the whole world. And that was the cause of Desert Storm. It is also very effective because if International Red Cross has not initiated this law, it wouldn't have been possible for the whole world to come together and be conscious of the fact that they can regulate war, and they can stop war, and they can stop anything that will affect the civil populace or vulnerabilities of people, including displacing people, because already he has moved to Kuwait, seized all their oil wells, and was trying to annihilate Kuwait before these people came on board, and they used Desert Storm because he was boasting. He developed chemical weapons and was saying that this is going to be the mother of all wars. Because after Desert Storm, he fizzles away. And Saddam said that was how he ended up. Okay. So you can see what Red Cross had been able to enthrone to the whole world. Then the vulnerable aspect of it after this, apart from the law, the humanitarian aspect of it, taking the affected, the women, the displaced persons, the juveniles, and the war prisoners. It is still the mandate of Red Cross. We still go to prisons and the rest of that. I remember when we dug a prison borehole at Oka, and we have also been carrying out prison sanitations and prison visitations regularly. We have a prison coordinator and we have all that. Okay. So you can see what Red Cross can do. Red Cross is still making that law very effective.
Okay, Prof, still on the law of armed conflict, there are types of armed conflict. Can you explain vis-a-vis the modus?
Yeah, there are armed conflict.
Types of armed conflict?
There are types of armed conflict. The types of armed conflict is the normal armed conflict, which is the normal military operations. And the other one that is outside military operations by using obnoxious weapons, missiles, ballistic missiles, nuclear weapons, atomic bombs, and the rest of them. They are out of the armed. That is why there is what we call basic principles. And soldiers are taught what is basic principles in armed conflict.
Yeah.
But this time, you are talking about the difference in armed conflict.
The types.
The types.
Yeah.
So the types is this, that one, the normal armed conflict, the other one, the excessive armed conflict. Armed conflict that will come from unconventional warfares. When we come to basic principles, you will understand what I mean. Because,
of course, I am coming to that.
yes.
Then can you then, towards the basic principle, can you demystify the 4 basic principles of the armed conflict? I know there are 4 basic principles.
Yes.
Can you just water them down?
Yes. In the basic principles, you have the principles of distinction, the principles of proportionality,
Yeah.
the principles of military necessity,
Yeah.
and the principles of unnecessary suffering. And when you come to these basic principles, the principles of distinction is when you are trained as a soldier, when you are trained as a commander of a troop, you will be able to ascertain and discern what is necessary in that place. That the type of hostilities you're going to apply. Then you will also consider the civil populace. You will also consider those who are not involved in your hostility. These are the people that you have to do that distinction, the principles of distinction. It is necessary that the principle of distinction.
I think you have a caller.
Yes.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
So that is the principles of that distinction. It is very, very important because you don't just go to war and become a boa conscriptor. You go to war, you define the roles you're going to play in war, and you have what is called military targets.
Yeah.
You don't go to civilian targets. You don't see a market and you just go and bomb a market because it is within your enemy territory. The person will be, the pilot will be arraigned.
Is it a war crime?
It's a war crime. You don't just go, a civil populace that are in a market like a market and they're not in the war front or near the war front. And you know it is civilians. They don't have anti-aircraft. They're not shooting you. They're just doing their minor transactions, buying their groceries. You just go and bomb that place. It's a war crime. Then when you come out again, you look at the proportionality. The proportionality is what type of arms are you going to apply in hostility? Are you going to apply excessive arms? Are you going to lay stockpile mines, land mines, and lay it where people that will go to their farm, it will affect them, where it will affect children, or where children will carry grenades on their hand and they won't know what it is and detonate it and it will kill them? So these are the proportion. You must be proportional in whatever you do. That is why there is what is called military precisions. That precisions must always be applied. Then you go to military necessity. The military must know what is their necessity. What is the cause of this war, which is called casus belli? Casus belli is cause of war. What is this casus belli? If this casus belli is to bomb a particular point, that is the problem. That particular point must be bombed. If it is oil wells that is in dispute, they will just go on that line and bomb the oil wells. If it is a military target, they will just go and bomb the military targets. They will not deviate from military targets to go to internally displaced camp and kill people there. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
It is a criminal point. So that proportionality is very, very, very important. And that military necessity is also very, very important. It is where there is military necessity that you have to apply proportionality. Then the next is unnecessary suffering. When you talk about suffering, Red Cross comes in again. Unnecessary suffering is creating problem for people because there is war, causing economic blockade, like the one we suffered during the Civil War in Biafra. Some people should have been arraigned to Hague. But Nigeria, nobody like our people. If they have filed that thing, some people that caused economic blockade in Biafra would have been arraigned to Hague. They were not arraigned. They caused that. And also, when you talk about that unnecessary suffering, some people can pollute water resources. If they find out that the water that the people are using are coming from a source where it's nearer to them, they can cause problems. They can pollute the water so that anybody that drinks that water will die. And it is a violation of international humanitarian law. It's a violation against the armed conflict by you going to create difficulties to people that are not in hostility with you, that cannot carry arms against you. So these are the things: food, contamination of food, blockage of medicaments that can reach the people to help them in their survival. So it is that is why that is one of the basic principles. And that basic principle is unnecessary suffering. That unnecessary suffering is for army to know. In as much as at times army comes out to do some humanitarian services, they are doing it when they are not in war front. But where there is war, they are not allowed to do that. They should go and face their war, because even where they are going to do that humanitarian services, they are suspects. Thank you.
So what is happening right now across the world? Let me talk about Nigeria, for example. This problem continues because it has not been checkmated. Everybody feels less concerned, and a lot of people are dying on a daily basis. I said it before, and I'm saying it again, and you made your point very clear. So my question again is, when will this kind of thing end? Should we continue like this?
We will not continue like this if we wake up, if we stop pretending. The problem we have with our people is that they always think they will benefit from the national resources or from national cake. Everybody is trying to be a good boy. Yeah, you call our people, big people, you think that they will speak out for us. Most of the big traditional rulers, the chiefs, they are intellectuals in their own right. And we expect that by their age, they will speak out. Have they filed any paper in Hague? Even in distribution of amenities, in distribution of offices in Nigeria, have we complied with federal character system? Is not a violation of our international humanitarian rights? Right to associate, right to get what is your right to get everything. Have we been doing that? The universal suffrage of the creation of human rights, the Bill of Rights, are they not violating it? Are there people not there who can speak for us? They can come out. File papers. When you file papers, have any Nigerian file paper at the United Nations and will not give it attention? Has any Igbo man file paper at the United Nations and won't give it attention? We file papers. Until
that is done, there cannot be a headway.
Have you seen a judge judging a case that it was not brought to him? Before a judge will speak, you will bring a matter before him. Then he will find out that he has jurisdiction to speak on the matter. Then he will speak on the matter.
People may be afraid of the outcome of going there to file papers. You go there and file papers and come back here and begin to dance the rough music.
There is nothing like that. The thing is that they are not thinking of that. Our people are very courageous. They are not thinking like that. You cannot undermine an Igbo man. When an Igbo man removes his shirt, if he doesn't throw a punch, he will not wear his shirt back. The point is that they are thinking of what they will benefit. And that is the only problem.
An Igbo man pulls off his shirt.
When an Igbo man pulls out his shirt, he cannot put back that shirt without throwing a punch.
But the Yoruba man,
no, he will remove his pants now and dance and say, well, at the end he will wear it as well. Not an Igbo man. Don't undermine an Igbo man.
Okay, Prof. Allah, let me ask you this one. What is and or what are the differences between these Jews in bello and Jews at bello?
Jews in bello regulates the armed conflict in a situation of war. It is the regulation. The Juris in bello regulates the war. And that Juris in bello is to create the consciousness that there is law. Even if there is war, there is law. Law cannot be fought recklessly without undermining others. Even in that Juris bello, even a fellow soldier who is, the moment he is captured, his privileges will be restored to him. We call it privileged belligerence. That privileged belligerence that will be restored to him is because he is already captured. He cannot do anything again.
Captured and disarmed.
Disarmed. And that means he has surrendered. And maybe before you came, he was carrying a white flag, saying white flag, oh peace, or even white hanky. Then there is no need for you. Somebody has fallen already and you're trying to hack him to death. You cannot. So that Juris in bello is to make sure that people are protected. that every armed person, every person in armed conflict is conscious of what to do at a particular time, even in hostility, and to regulate the level of that hostility, including the type of arms you use. Instead of shooting gun, you shoot bazooka, you shoot short battery on a human being. Are you trying to kill him? AK-47 is still a military arm. I
think we have a caller. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah?
Please don't be angry. It's my children that called them.
Okay.
I'm calling from Mercedes.
Okay, do you have a question to ask?
Okay, my name is Cindy.
Yeah, from Azobolo. Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm listening to the thought.
Go ahead.
I don't know what to say, but
she doesn't know what to say.
Okay. Go on, okay. So that is juris in bello.
Yeah.
So when you come to juris ad bellum, juris ad bellum is an additional responsibilities to juris in bellum. Juris ad bellum is to make sure that while you are in conflict, you must have peace in mind. You must know that there are economic responsibilities. There are social responsibilities. You don't act the war excessively, where the war will go on to an extent that peace will be irredeemable. You cannot achieve peace because of that, the type of devastation you have done. Whatever you have done, you have ravaged the people, you have annihilated them, you have obliterated them. Where will peace come? But you are fighting a war to give room or create a window for peace. So while that window is not created for peace, then there is no juris ad bellum.
It's like people are just listening to what you are saying, they're enjoying it, and the calls are not coming. Since you can call us on the number there on your screen, 090-729-72090. The other one is 070-627-24192. There on your screen. In trying to call us, you tune down the volume of your TV set and then you distance your TV. The program is Citizens and the Law, and the topic we are handling is international humanitarian law. And the guest in the studio is Professor Peter Emeka Kachi, the president of NACAMA and vice chairman of Red Cross in Anambra State. Before we continue, let's take our usual message. Let's take a break. Welcome back, Prof. What is the interplay between international humanitarian law and the international human rights law? The interplay between international humanitarian law and the international human rights law.
The interplay is that the international humanitarian law is law of Geneva Conventions.
Yeah. And
another law of Geneva Conventions is also between the international humanitarian laws and the international humanitarian laws and international human rights laws.
Yeah.
The other one is the Hague. And when you come to the Hague, the Hague Conventions, the other one protects humanity. International humanitarian law talks about humanity entirely, and in entirety is humanity. The Hague is operational, using it to arraign those who have committed the criminality. bring them to Hague, bring them to book, bring them to tribunal to face the prosecution of the offenses they have committed. Then the international international human rights law, it has its own conventions. The first convention is the civil and political rights.
Yeah.
The second is the economic and social rights. So that economic and social rights is where people will have their own rights. Rights to be attended, rights to enjoy economic values, rights for social welfare, and rights for the other one is the civil right, where that is where fundamental human right emanates. And that fundamental human right is the right to give you a lot of things. And when you combine the two under international human rights law, it is called the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
But on the other one, it is different. It is on humanitarian grounds. And that humanitarian grounds is focusing on the vulnerability of the civil populace, the women, the children, the war prisoners, women in detention. You cannot detain a woman with a man in the same facility. And a man cannot be attending to a detained woman. A woman must be assigned to that because of welfare. And even a woman can do a very good welfare to a man. But a man cannot do a very good welfare to a woman in detention, the children. And also pregnant women, when they are to deliver, they will be allowed to go to hospital. They will be properly taken care of. And when they deliver, their children are not also in detention. So that baby must be properly registered in a registered hospital. All the facilities, like in Nigeria National Population Commission, we must register the baby of a woman in detention, or even if the woman is a prisoner and has delivered the baby. All necessary facilities must be accorded to that baby. And even that woman that is even in detention, you don't also extract confessions by force, by torture, by torturing people, by beating them, by injuring them. So they will say, tell them to talk through, and you start beating them. You don't do that. You are trained to extract informations. That is why our police in Nigeria now are moving up to a highly technical level, whereby they cannot apply torture to get information from a detainee. Thank you.
Okay, how actually does the law of IHL, International Humanitarian Law, protecting? Well, you've actually mentioned this. Let's go to another one. The International Humanitarian Law was made in Geneva and The Hague Conventions, respectively. And then the question now is, who execute the laws they made?
Good. United Nations execute the law because they are laws of United Nations. It is the United Nations that appoints the prosecutors, that appoint the judges.
Yeah.
There is World Court. There is also the people we call the rapporteurs, and also the people we call prosecutor extraordinaire. Those prosecutors extraordinaire are those who will compile the charges of a head of state, present it, and arraign him before a well-functional tribunal to face his war crime. You don't rule and think that after you become a maximum ruler that it will be easy for you. There are one or two maximum rulers in Nigeria who would have been arraigned in Hague, but they died prematurely, so they were not alive to be ruled. But if there is any other maximum ruler, let that maximum ruler know that he must be arraigned at Hague, and that all his crimes and offenses are being compiled and waiting. The moment he gets out from office, even when Chastelo ran away from Liberia, he gets into Nigeria, he was running. Even the most powerful of Obasanjo cannot save him. The international soldiers speak.
Hello? Yeah, please, you speak louder. Your name and location. Tune down the volume of your TV if it is high. Ask your question. Your name? Huh?
Hello, my name is James. I'm calling from Adasi.
You are calling from Adasi. Okay, you're calling from Ajale. What's that your name again, please? It's Augustine from Ajale. Okay, ask your question. Go ahead and ask your question, Austin. Okay, Augustine, you are not asking any question, and the line is still on for you. Okay.
So even if somebody, when the crimes are compiled, like I always tell you, some people can be arraigned in Nigeria, but why they are not being arraigned is because of pretenses. We pretend a lot. We try to pretend as if to say nothing happened, and things are happening. And when things are happening and we are just pretending, it becomes a serious problem. This pretending is a lot of pretenses.
It's not helping us.
A lot of conspiracies. And that is not putting people in their proper place. That you are the head of state does not make you to become a maximum ruler. You cannot do things wantonly. You do things. You will be brought to book. You go and face it. If people die in your hands and you cannot explain the cause of their death, or you ask people to go and kill them because you are in charge, you will be arraigned to answer for your crime, the crime against humanity, where you killed people, where you order for people to be shot. You will be arraigned. You will have to give account of all those people that died. If they are 10, you get sentences for that 10.
Okay, Professor Kachi, I think we are going to have a second cut of this program. There is esteemed viewer, you have been watching Citizens and the Law on ABS Television Channel 2 for Oka, and the topic you've been watching and listening to is international humanitarian law. And that is Professor Kachi, the professor that has been dotting the I's and crossing the T's, provided answers to all the questions. That is where we want to draw the curtain for our today's edition of Citizens and the Law. I've told you the name of the guest, Professor Emeka Kachi, the national chairman of NACAMA and the vice chairman of Nigerian Red Cross of Anambra State. Professor, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
I am Jude Mascot Obiago. Thank you very much for being part of this beautiful program. Next week, we are going to do what is known as malicious prosecution. I will find time to re-invite Professor. I hope you are going to oblige coming here again.
I'll come.
Thank you very much, Professor. So that is where there is a viewer will have to call it a day. Jude Mascot Obiago saying thank you very much for being part of it.
Thank you.